Okay, so thank you everyone for joining. Today is the second one of these sessions in confinement, so online English sessions in confinement. Today, I promised you a very intense session. So you will not speak. It will not be intense from the speaking point of view. You will speak much more next week. But today, I promise you an intense session from the point of view of your concentration and your focus and your process of different information, different types of information that comes your way. Okay? So we'll do different types of listening activities today. And my objective is not to teach you, is not to give you information, but my objective today is to give you the tools so that you can go away and do these activities and think about them, do them on your own, and maybe do them with your children, do them with your brothers, sisters, with your families, or do them alone. Okay, so I'll give you some tools. So let me just share with you the program again. So we will start today with a little video on YouTube. So the first one, exercise 1, is all going to be about Ed Sheeran. We'll have a look at the video. I'll give you some time to watch the video. I'll send you the link, don't worry. And then we will try and answer all of these questions. So today it's just a practice one, but then you can go away and go over the questions again. So for example, if you didn't hear something, if you didn't understand, but the main thing today is to focus and to pay attention to the activity. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and copy this link in the conversation window. So I have sent this link to this YouTube video to all of you in the conversation window, okay? So if you have a problem, if you haven't received it, let me know. But I think everyone should have it now. And what I will also do now is I will share the questions with you in the conversation window as well. So first of all, we will do a test. So I will play the video, I will share it with you, and you will need to listen to it for 10 seconds and then tell me if you can hear it well or if you have a problem. If you can hear it well, perfect. If you have a problem, you can go ahead and use the video in the conversation window over there, okay? So I'm going to go ahead and share this video. So this is a test, 10 seconds test. Oh, hello, Pascal is joining. So this is just a test.
Everyone make some noise for the one and only Ed Sheeran! What is it?
Now tell me, was it good, the volume? Can you hear, or was it difficult? It's good. Martin, Aline, what did you think? Good? Okay, perfect. So
yes, good.
Excellent. So I'll go ahead and I'll start playing it again. And then from the beginning, hello, Pascal. So, and you can focus on the questions in the conversation window. We'll listen to it more than once if you have a problem, okay? So let me go back to Ed Sheeran.
Everyone make some noise for the one and only Ed Sheeran! What is a day like in the life of Ed Sheeran? Give us a typical day.
Okay, so a typical day. Yesterday wasn't a typical day, but I'll take you through my day yesterday. I woke up, I watched a couple of episodes of Towie, I had breakfast, I then watched a film called Blood and Bone, which was odd, and then a film called The Transporter, which was even more odd.
And then when you finished that, a bit of catch up?
No, we were Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then Family Guy. I just had a day in bed yesterday, but today I woke up, I did a photo shoot with, oh man, the photo shoot today, right? It was for Fabulous magazine.
Oh, fabulous.
And they put me in a suit and they had two models who were just meant to grope and caress me while they took pictures. Like, how's that a photo shoot? That was wicked.
And did you speak to the models?
Yeah, they were nice.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm spoken for though, so if I'd spoke any more, I'd lose a nut.
I should lose a nut.
Do you know those cigar cutters? I have one of them in my house. That would take. That was probably actually. It would only take off the tip.
Right. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I didn't realise you were taking. You keep yourself fairly private, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't hear much about Ed in terms of his private life. So,
yeah.
So am I allowed to ask who you're with?
Well, you wouldn't know her.
Okay.
Unless you do, then that would be strange. But no, she's just normal girl.
Right. Okay. Cool. But
she's lovely.
All is good.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm David Walliams.
And you are YouTube. To see more amazing videos
I'm
from
just going to put it on pause. So, how did it feel? Easy or difficult?
Difficult.
Difficult, okay.
Difficult.
Fine. So, did you find that Ed Sheeran's voice is different when he speaks from when he just sings? Do you find that it's a different voice?
Yes, it's easier to understand when he sings.
Yeah, exactly. Absolutely. Yes, he's got a very difficult accent when he speaks. He's very relaxed. He swallows the words. He doesn't pronounce very well. Okay. Can we try to answer the questions, or would you like to listen to it again?
Just maybe listen once again.
Once again?
Please.
Yes? Okay, once again, but only once more. So let's have a look. There we go. Okay, good luck.
Everyone make some noise for the one and only Ed Sheeran! What is a day like in the life of Ed Sheeran? Give us a typical day.
Okay, so a typical day. Yesterday wasn't a typical day, but I'll take you through my day yesterday. I woke up, I watched a couple of episodes of Towie. I had breakfast. I then watched a film called Blood and Bone, which was odd. And then a film called The Transporter, which was even more odd.
And then when you finished that, a bit of catch up?
No, we were Texas Chainsaw Massacre and then Family Guy. I just had a day in bed yesterday, but today I woke up, I did a photo shoot with, oh man, the photo shoot today, right? It was for Fabulous magazine.
Oh, fabulous.
And they put me in a suit and they had two models who were just meant to grope and caress me while they took pictures. Like, how's that a photo shoot? That was wicked.
And did you speak to the models?
Yeah, they were nice.
Yeah? Okay.
I'm spoken for though, so if I'd spoke any more, I'd lose a nut.
I should lose a nut.
Do you know those cigar cutters? I have one of them in my house. That would take. That was probably actually. It would only take off the tip.
Right. Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I didn't realise you were taking. You keep yourself fairly private, don't you?
Yeah.
You don't hear much about Ed in terms of his private life. So, so am I allowed to ask who you're with?
Well, you wouldn't know her.
Okay.
Unless you do, then that would be strange. But no, she's just normal girl.
Right. Okay. Cool. But
she's lovely.
All is good.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm David Walliams.
Okay, so Lena, I think is going to go. Bye-bye, Lena. We'll say goodbye to Lena because it's a little bit difficult for her. But we'll see you later, Lena, as soon as we can, as soon as confinement is finished. Bye. Okay, the rest of you, let's have a look. I'm going to pull up the questions again, and we can try and answer them. So, question 1. Martin, could you read it for me, please?
It's not correctly written. It's not clear.
It's not
The screen. Yes, the screen is
okay.
like Chinese characters.
Oh, really? Oh, how strange. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and share it in the conversation window. And also what I'm going to do is I'm going to share it on the whiteboard. That way we can really focus, all of us. Can you see it now? Can you see it now? Is it okay now?
Yes, it's okay.
Okay.
Yes.
So, Martin, could you read question 1?
Yes. Did he talk about his typical day?
So, did he talk about his typical day? So the question was, please tell us about your typical day. But did Ed Sheeran talk about it? Yes or no?
I think no. He spoke about yesterday.
He talked about yesterday. Very good. Very good, Martin. You actually got it. You probably guessed here a little bit, but you know, sometimes language is like that. Sometimes we need to guess. What Ed said is, well, yesterday wasn't my typical day, but I would like to tell you about yesterday. So basically the answer to this question is no, he didn't. Did he talk about his typical day? No, he didn't. Okay. Aline, can you please read the second question? Which 2 days? Aline, please.
Yes. Yesterday and today. I talk today.
Okay, so you're answering the question. So which 2 days did he talk about? You're absolutely right. Yesterday and today. Very, very good.
And today?
And today. Excellent. Well done. So he actually talked about 2 different days. He was a very bad student, Ed Sheeran, because he did not answer the question. Okay. Yesterday. Who can try and have a go? Maybe Helen? What did he say about his day yesterday, Helen?
He said he woke up and watched films.
He watched lots of films. Yes, very good. He watched lots of films. Okay. Now, did you hear any names of films and series? So it's actually the next question. Go ahead, anyone. If you heard a name, give it to me.
Blood and Bone.
Blood and Bones. Yes, very good. Very, very good. Oh, sounds very gory. Oh, Blood and Bones. Okay, and what else?
Transporter, something.
Transporters, very good. Transporters, what else?
Don't know.
Okay. Pascal, Martin. There was an interesting film called Texan Chainsaw Massacre. Texan Chainsaw Massacre, which is a horror film. And then he mentioned another series. He watched a series. He said, I watched a couple of episodes. Did anybody hear? Episodes of, he said, Towie.
Towie, yes.
Episodes of Towie. Now go ahead, if you have a computer in front of you, or maybe a telephone, look it up. What does it mean, Towie? What does it mean? Give me the information. Type it into your search engine and give me the answer. What is Towie? Does anyone have an answer for me?
Tele-reality.
Yes. It's a reality. Okay, it's a bit of a reality, but what is the name? What is the full name?
The only way is Essex.
Very good. The only way is Essex. And Essex is part of London. It's basically just to the east of London. So it's where, you know, sort of gangsters live, and it's a very special accent. Very good. Now, in the interest of time, let's move on to the next question. What about today? Nuran, what did Ed Sheeran do today? Nuran, did you hear?
I'm sorry, but I don't understand what
he said.
Yes.
Did anyone else understand something about photo?
He spoke about a magazine.
Very good.
And model?
Very good. So
Model?
it was magazine, models, so ladies, 2 ladies. So it was a photo shoot. A photo shoot is when he goes somewhere and people take photos of him. Did you hear the name of the magazine?
Smoking, costume.
Yes, he was wearing a suit. Very good, a suit. Aline, your understanding is very good. So yes, he wore a very good suit. A suit means, in French, you say costume, don't you? So it's something very smart. But the name of the magazine is?
I don't know.
Fabulous. The magazine was fabulous.
Fabulous.
Now, I have one last question. And this question is very, very difficult. What does he mean when he says, I'm spoken for? So this part, I'm spoken for. What did he talk about afterwards, at the end? After the photo shoot, after the film, what did they talk about at the end of the video?
I'm not sure, but he spoke about his wife.
Absolutely, bingo. Thank you, Martin. And in fact, I'm spoken for means I have a girlfriend or I have a wife. Do you understand? There you go. Now, I'm spoken for is a very difficult expression. It's actually, it comes from Old English. You know, you have to stand up and say, you know, I speak for this person. And then he took that person for a wife. So when he says, I'm spoken for, he actually means that his wife stood up and said, he's mine. She didn't. It comes from Old English. All right? So I'm spoken for means I have a girlfriend. I have a woman, a lady who is part of my family. Okay? So very good, everybody. Very, very good. Thank you very much. So I'm coming back just to look at your faces. Now, thank you very much for this activity. This is something you all can do in the comfort of your own home. Look at any video you want. If you hear a list, for example, a list of things. Here, Ed Sheeran talked about films. So if you hear a list, try and listen out, you know, which items are they talking about? Which films? If somebody talks about names, listen out for which names are they talking about, okay? Now, we're actually ready for the next activity. And the next activity is going to be about BBC News. BBC News is an activity that I encourage all of you to do. And with some of you, we've done it already. So I'm putting a link to BBC 1 Minute World News in the conversation window. So you can click on it, but I will also play it for you. The questions will be here. So I'll put the questions here. So the questions will be, as per usual, it's a 3-step process. First of all, we're going to imagine the map of the world. I keep coming back to the map of the world. But when we listen to the BBC News, the map of the world is very important because first and foremost, you need to imagine where in the world the events are taking place. So the first time you listen, or if you are a little bit advanced, you know, you can do all the 3 questions in one go. Maybe you can only listen to it once. Anyway, the first time you listen, try and imagine geographically where it is, where it might be. If they're talking about a conflict between the US and Russia, or you imagine Russia's here, US is here, and it's a conflict. If they're talking about a zoo in China, you imagine China, and so on. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and play BBC News on my computer. If we're going to test it, if the sound is okay, you can take it from my computer. If it's not okay, you can do it using the link that I've just provided you with. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. This is the BBC News. We're going to listen to 10 seconds.
watching BBC World News. Our headlines. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has spent a second night in hospital, his first in intense...
Now, how is the sound? Good or bad?
Good.
Good? Okay. So perfect. We're going to listen to it together. If the sound is not good for somebody, go ahead and listen to it a couple of times. Right now, I will play it 3 times in a row. So if you don't want to stay with me for the 3 minutes, go ahead and play it for yourselves using the link that I provided you with. But I will play it 3 times for you so that you can think of the 3 questions. Number 1, geographical locations. Number 2, the general pieces of news. And number 3, the details. Okay? So I'm going to go back to BBC News and we're going to start again.
You're watching BBC World News. Our headlines. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has spent a second night in hospital, his first in intensive care after his coronavirus symptoms got worse. He was admitted for tests after doctors said the symptoms were persisting. President Trump has joined political leaders in Britain and around the world in wishing Boris Johnson a speedy recovery. China, where the first case of coronavirus was first reported, has recorded no new coronavirus deaths for the first time since January. There are some localised lockdowns in the city of Wuhan, where restrictions have otherwise been eased. One other story, Australia's High Court has upheld Cardinal George Pell's appeal over his conviction for sexually assaulting 2 choir boys. Cardinal Pell was jailed for a minimum of 3 years.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and play it for the second time.
You're watching BBC World News. Our headlines. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has spent a second night in hospital, his first in intensive care after his coronavirus symptoms got worse. He was admitted for tests after doctors said the symptoms were persisting. President Trump has joined political leaders in Britain and around the world in wishing Boris Johnson a speedy recovery. China, where the first case of coronavirus was first reported, has recorded no new coronavirus deaths for the first time since January. There are some localised lockdowns in the city of Wuhan, where restrictions have otherwise been eased. One other story, Australia's High Court has upheld Cardinal George Pell's appeal over his conviction for sexually assaulting 2 choir boys. Cardinal Pell was jailed for a minimum of 3 years.
Okay, and the third time, and then we'll go back to the questions.
You're watching BBC World News. Our headlines. The British Prime Minister Boris Johnson has spent a second night in hospital, his first in intensive care after his coronavirus symptoms got worse. He was admitted for tests after doctors said the symptoms were persisting. President Trump has joined political leaders in Britain and around the world in wishing Boris Johnson a speedy recovery. China, where the first case of coronavirus was first reported, has recorded no new coronavirus deaths for the first time since January. There are some localised lockdowns in the city of Wuhan, where restrictions have otherwise been eased. One other story, Australia's High Court has upheld Cardinal George Pell's appeal over his conviction for sexually assaulting 2 choir boys. Cardinal Pell was jailed for a minimum of 3 years.
Okay, so I'm back. Let's go. I'm going to put up the map of the world and we are going to talk about the geography first. Pascal, can you tell us which countries you heard? Pascal? Yeah? The connection's a bit difficult. Okay. So anyone else? Aline, which countries did you hear?
China.
China. Very good.
China. British. London.
Very good. The UK. Very good. What else?
USA.
Very good.
States. And Australia.
Excellent. Bingo. Bingo. Very good.
Yes. Yes.
Very good, Aline. Thank you so much. Now, can somebody tell me in general what the stories were about? Maybe Nuren, could you tell me a little bit?
For the first information is for the British Prime Minister. He's in the intensive
care.
Yes, in hospital with the coronavirus.
Of course, yes. It's all about coronavirus. Okay, Martin, can you give us the second story, maybe just some guidelines, some highlights?
The second story is based in the US. President Trump has addressed his best reestablishment to the Prime Minister.
Okay, yes. So it's about Donald Trump wishing well to somebody else, and this somebody else is Boris Johnson. So the story number 1 and 2 are pretty much linked. Very good. Now afterwards, Helen, what did we talk about after?
The third case is about China.
Mm-hmm.
About they had no new deaths for the coronavirus since January.
Yes, so it's for the first time. Today was for the first time. Very good. Thank you, Helen. And the last story was a bit difficult. Martin, did you understand anything?
Yes, I'm not sure. It talked about Australia, about a cardinal who made something sexual with young boys, and he is in prison for 3 years minimum.
Yes. So, ladies, did you understand if the cardinal went to prison or if he was released from prison?
He went. He will go. No.
Well, they were saying that he was initially on trial and he received a sentence of 3 years, but then he said he asked for the appeal, and I think appeal is the same word in French, isn't it?
Yes.
I'm not sure. How would you say it in French? When you ask, you say, no, please change it.
Faire appel.
Appel, exactly. You see, appeal. So we say appeal, you say appel, exactly. So it's the same pretty much in French. So he asked for the appeal and they upheld it. So basically, he may not need to go to prison now. Okay, thank you very much. So BBC News is the activity that you can all continue to do all by yourself, okay? Now, I'm going to go ahead and share again our workload for today. And as you can see, we're finished with 2 exercises. So that's it. These 2 exercises are done. Now, the next set of exercises, 3, A and B and 4, are going to be focused on something which I call podcasts. Okay? Now, if you have a podcast app on your phone, you can go ahead and choose Table Manners. Table Manners is the app that talks about, it's run by 2 ladies, singer and her mother, and they invite everybody to eat. They cook for famous people. And so here I'm going to post you a link. The first one that I wanted to look at is about Jamie Oliver. So they invite Jamie Oliver. Does anybody know who Jamie Oliver is? Do you know who Jamie Oliver is? Let me just get that phone. No? Let me just get the phone to switch it off. Sorry about that. Yes. So nobody has any idea about Jamie Oliver? No. Now, Jamie Oliver is a great British chef, and I typed it for you in a conversation one day. Now, the great thing about Jamie Oliver is that he changed the way the British nation eats. How did he do it? He went to school and he changed the way the little children eat. So he gave children vegetables. He gave them Italian cooking. He gave them Italian vegetables. He mixed that with the British cooking. So he mixes traditional British, Mediterranean, Italian, Asian, Japanese. So he's a very big chef. Okay? So today, what I suggest we do is that first of all, I would like to share all the links with you. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and make sure that you have all the information to be able to do all of these things on your own. So I'm going to go ahead and create a whiteboard for you. Let me just do a new one. Okay. And in this whiteboard, I'm going to put all the information about, hold on a second. I'm not doing very well, am I? Okay, there you go. This is all the data that you need to have. What I'm going to do is after this call, I will send it to you so that you can go ahead and do these exercises alone. So the first one, here's the link you use. It's with Jamie Oliver. You only need to watch 2 minutes. And after these 2 minutes, you can go ahead and answer these questions. Then you listen to another 10 minutes. You think, oh, 10 minutes, it's very difficult. But actually, 10 minutes is not going to be nearly that difficult as the first 2.5 minutes. And then you try and answer the questions. And then you go ahead and you try to listen to all of it. So I'm going to ask you to do all of this. I will actually send you all of these documents so that you can study them on your own. All right? I will send you all the documentation. And now, just before we finish the session, do you want to tell me a little bit about how it went for you? So what did you think about the session?